To replace the points with our tree geometry that we imported a little earlier on, fall tree through fall tree 2, we need to add another compound or node through the ice tree. On the emit from surface compound, there is a shape input, and if I double click on it and I set the shape to anything but point, let's say sphere, I just expand full screen, the size attribute will instance spheres where the points are. And so I can, of course, use any other shape type, cone, capsule, etc. But in this case, there's no pull down option for an instance. So the shape is not really much use to us. However, if I look through some of the particle tasks or even some of the tools, there are a couple of other nodes or compounds that will do the job for us. If we look down under the particle tasks and access the geometry instancing folder, there is a set instance geometry compound. If I drag it in, it's of type execute on emit, so it would emit as an emission attribute, executed only once, and we can point it to an object or a group of objects. This one's a little bit of overkill for what I'm trying to do here. The set instance geometry works in combination with some of these other compounds that have been created to work with animated characters, and we're not really dealing with animated trees at this point. So I'm not going to use the set instance geometry node. This might come in useful for things like crowds or leaves on a tree that are blowing. So I'll delete that. If we look into the tool category, tools, of course, are lower level nodes for the most part that tasks are made out of. If I look under the tools category, I can have a look under the data access folder, and here we have a node called instance shape. Now that seems more like what we're after. There's also in the constant category the shape node as well, and if I pull both of them in, you can see that they both output a type of shape, but the shape folder is essentially got the same drop-down menu options that the emit from surface compound does. In fact, if you look into the emit from surface compound, you're likely to find a shape attribute. In this case, it's actually initialized directly within the point cloud itself, as shape is a default attribute for point clouds, or for the points in a point cloud. So the shape won't work, but in the instance shape folder, I can again point it to an object by using my explorer and picking an object. So if I choose fall tree as my instance object, I can choose whether or not it's the object or if it has children. In this case, fall tree is a single object with no descendants or children, so I just want the object only. If I then plug that instance shape into the shape input of the emit from surface compound, we get the start of our tree high frequency detail. I'll double click the emit from surface compound and lock it just so we can have a look at what's going on here. So I've got 1,000 particles distributed wherever my weight map has dictated, and I can go and increase the number of trees now. And of course we're only using one tree, so the look is a little bit repetitive, but I can go in and of course adjust the size. And the next thing we would look at doing is randomizing some of these values and making the trees look just a little bit different and slightly more chaotic, random, we shall say. So if I want to go in and actually use the group of trees as my instance, I'll have to do something a little bit different. So we'll look at that now, maybe bringing all 3 trees in and then randomizing between the 3 trees.